All right, so this is the group midterm project for AJ1106, Pop Culture, Media and Society. I am Noah Simmons, and I'm with
Sadhbh Tracy.
Daniel Marron.
and this is our project on how the Velvet Underground is counterculture and how that affects audience psychology.
Cool. So I think a good place to start when looking at the Velvet Underground in relation to audience psychology is by looking at the relations to their contemporaries in the West Coast due to their audiences having such a fundamentally different view on music.
Yeah.
The West Coast saw music as a form of escapism, and the East Coast used music to discuss taboo topics such as sexuality, class, drug use, which was disturbing to their contemporaries in the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
This is evident when the Velvet Underground visited the West Coast and delivered their unsettling drone vision and were met with largely negative reception.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the Velvet Underground, the feeling was mutual between them because the Velvet Underground kind of looked down upon the peace and love, optimistic West Coast ideals. To quote John Cale here, if you're off in that world, you don't recognize danger for the value it has. And I think this quote does a great deal to show how they view their art and what it should mean and the importance of portraying harsh realities to give substance to their work.
Yeah, and I really agree, like, to build off what you said about, like, bringing harsh realities kind of to the forefront. A song like Heroin really encapsulates that, like, on a surface level. It has that sort of same ethos of the West Coast of, like, tuning in and dropping out and, like, kind of forgetting about the troubles that are going on around you.
Yeah.
But the difference is that it's through song, and that the Velvet Underground are kind of portraying it in this negative thing and like a class issue. This person is tuning out from the world with heroin because it is their only escape from, like, the woes and their worries in life. And I think that was really hard, especially for the West Coast, to deal with.
It feels like the West Coast doesn't touch on that much in a lot of songs coming out of San Francisco at that time.
Well, yeah, they don't touch on it through their music, but I think the notion of, like, escapism being put through such a negative light is a really unsettling thing for the West Coast to hear, and I think that's why they really struggle to, really get behind the Velvet Underground and the music they were making.
Yeah, because they're so gung-ho on the hopefulness and the optimism, and for the Velvet Underground just to be out there with the grittiness and the depravity and everything of drug
there's
use.
a real, like, gaze on, like, disparity and, like, the struggles of class, I think, in the Velvet Underground that the West Coast don't touch on. Like, Waiting for My Man is, like, a really jaunty, upbeat song that's really lively, but its lyrics are basically about, like, a more well-off man going to, Lexington 125, and
Yep.
going to, like, the ghetto to buy drugs. Like, it shows that clear difference of, like, a wealthy man going to, like, indulge in excess while he walks through basically like a ghetto full of, like, people that'll never be as well off as he will be.
And that acknowledgement of access to drugs and just the environment that the people who produce and sell the drugs are in isn't really acknowledged anywhere else in the West Coast, really. So, yeah. And on the topic of class and also gender, we can take a look at All Tomorrow's Parties, a song sung by Nico, in fact, about the standards placed on women and how that can affect, their emotional state.
Absolutely.
Particularly in the context of Andy Warhol's Factory, but it can also be applied to women all over America and beyond, for what it says about, the standards placed on them. And it does tap into class with phrases like hand-me-down dress and rags that
Kind of displays that disparity again.
Yes, and it also lends itself to further context in showing how these women are disadvantaged and how that can like further exasperate their desperation for fame, and then in turn when they're denied that, it can hit harder.
No, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the song Venus and Furs.
Absolutely.
As the song hosts an incredibly taboo topic, as a idea of having a relationship dynamic of a woman holding all the power over a man at the time is uncomfortable to the average American, audience or listener.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's really interesting. Like, even like if that was all it was, kind of the song itself would already, like you said, it's already incredibly uncomfortable to the average listener. But I think the added dynamic of it being a specifically like sadomasochistic dynamic with
Definitely.
like a woman who is like a dominatrix, that like literally like kind of throughout the song it almost feels like she is like humiliating this man.
Yeah, she's whipping him.
Yeah, it's a really interesting like look, and something that I imagine in the 60s was incredibly uncommon.
Yeah. The sexual rebellion was just beginning.
The theme of lust in this song.
Yeah, things sort of that sort of sexual empowerment like that you kind of see within like punk movements. It wouldn't even come into, let's say, late 76 or 77.
Yeah.
The Velvet Underground are like really ahead of their time, and I think that contributes to that sort of,
especially in this song.
Yeah, and it contributes to that sort of like uncomfortableness that like the average American would have trying to listen to a Velvet Underground album.
So it is obvious that the Velvet Underground is certainly a doubly counterculture band in their own way, going against predominant consumers in culture, rejecting the slowly growing dominance of the West Coast scene.
And because of that, their debut album didn't have much commercial success, only selling 30,000 albums. But it is said that the ones who bought that record created an artistic movement that influenced all alternative music into the modern day.